Hello planty friends, long time no see. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Adriana and please grab a drink with me because today we're going to go over July, August, and September's best and worst updates. So as always, I'll list all of July's plants next to me, either this way or this way, so you can know what plants I'm going to be talking about. In July, like just rough months were I think April, May, and June for me. So in July, I decided to, instead of doing a best and worst, to do an unsung heroes. And unfortunately, two of those three unsung heroes are just not doing too great. So let's start out with the first one, which is my lucky bamboo. So the point of the unsung heroes video was just to point out plants that I really don't have to take care of too much, or like are just dependable, reliable. My lucky bamboo, Dracaena, was one of those plants. Unfortunately, got mealybugs real bad, and I cut back a lot of the plant. I don't even know if this is gonna grow back, if I'm being completely honest. And like this one, see how yellow that is? Gross. This one is like dried up, so really this is kind of the only healthy stalk. I don't know if it's gonna grow back for me or not, but I'm trying. It's just living in the same place, treating it for mealybugs because it still has mealybugs, and we'll see how it does. Next plant is my Epipremnum CB Blue. This was actually featured in the last video that I did, which I believe was plants that I can't make happy. You can still see it's not the happiest. I mean, it's kind of hanging in there, but there are dead leaves and it just doesn't look the best, you know? So it's in the same spot. I give it nutrients, top it off with water. I don't know what it wants from me, but I'm gonna keep trying until it decides to no longer be with me, if that's the case. Maybe it'll bounce back, but it's been quite a bit that it has been looking like this, so I'm not too sure. There is still one plant that I consider an unsung hero, and that is my spiral cactus, which is right there. Let me go get it. Still has cat fur all over it because Joopy loves to like scratch himself on this. Like he purposely rubs up against this plant because he's a weirdo. Anyway, I really love this plant. Still doing great, continuing to grow for me. The roots are still doing pretty good, not as healthy as they once were, but I did really neglect this plant at one point where all of its water roots completely dried up. Growing them back, luckily, and looking fabulous here. I love this cactus so much. I think it's so cool. I love the color of it. It's like a silvery green, if that makes sense. It's beautiful. Ah, I poked myself. Back to the normal business of a best and worst. So August, I did do a best and worst. List the plants here. I don't know if it's going to be on this side. It might be on that side. I'll just stay in the middle. And Mike can decide which side he wants it on. So let's start with the deceased, the unfortunately deceased, and that is the Syngonium batik and my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Those are both no longer with me, unfortunately. But what is still with me and what was on that worst list was my philodendron micans, and I'm so happy to say I still have them and they're growing quite well. I'm gonna show you. Of course, this is a pothos, but the rest of these in my prop station that my parents bought for me are all micans and growing so well in water. No surprise, that's how I had it last time. In water, that's how I grew it when it grew the most successful for me. So I think I'm just gonna keep them in there because they're growing pretty well, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Oh, however, if you do want to see what that plant looked like before I had to cut it up, it is featured in my philodendron and pothos collection. So if you're curious, you can go peek at it when it was fully glorious. Again, before I had to cut it up, if you're interested. Okay, moving on to plants that were in the best. First one being this Peperomia Yanocardi Road. Nope, not what it is at all. This is a peperonia. Oh my gosh, I cannot talk. What is this? This is the peperomia obtusifolia variegata. That's what it is. If you remember, I had quite the dramatics regarding this plant, and my Pothos Pearls and Jade had them in leca growing beautifully, and decided to home themselves in my leca plants, in either the ants or the treatment that I used to get rid of the ants kind of killed off those plants. And I was able to take cuttings of the peperomia and my Pearls and Jade, but it's really just not doing anything. However, I did just notice while I was moving around, there is some new growth right there, which is super exciting because it really, again, hasn't done anything for me. It is pretty far removed. It's not on my Sansevieria wall, but it's like on the same level, if that makes sense, as my Sansevieria wall. So I do believe it requires more light than I'm giving it, but it's just kind of the situation right now, and it has to do with what I give it, and it's putting out a new leaf, so there's that. Another featured best of August was my Syngonium Yanocardi Road. That plant is no longer a full plant because I kept breaking it. Like twice. I broke off a piece of like actively growing plant. I believe I did it even in like one of my videos. I don't remember exactly which one, but I believe like in that video you can clearly see that I like snap off a piece because it, yeah, anyway. This is what it looks like now. I'm actually super proud of myself. I have never been great at caring for Syngoniums. I have two in my collection, this one and a Mojito, because I just can't nail down its care needs. I found that I was very successful with the Yanocardi and the Mojito in leca, but I've never been successful at propping them until now. I am so excited. Look at this new growth. And look at this cute little cactus thing. I did get it at Target. It was a moment of weakness. I was weak. It's so cute. And I knew I would use it as a prop jar. And it's such a cute prop jar. Anyway, getting off topic. This is the Yanocardi Road. I just love the dark leaves on top. And then the, of course, beautifully burgundy-ish red leaves on the back. So yeah, I just hope it continues to do well in here, and maybe one day I'll transfer it into leca again and it can transform into what it used to be, hopefully. That last best of August is still what I consider a best, although a thirsty best right now. I should have watered it, but this is my Syngonium Silver Sword, and I haven't moved its location. It's still like right here, right next to me in front of my bay window. Yeah, it's a consistent plant for me. It is putting out new growth right now. If I can turn it without whacking myself right here, you can see that. And I just love how like this plant sweats. If you can see the condensation on the new growth, it's not even only on the new growth. Like there's some up here, there's some right here, little sweats. So I just find that fascinating. And yeah, it's still doing really well. As you can see, it's hard to fit it in the frame here. It's very big and it likes to climb. I think I have to give it something else to climb up, but for now it's doing great. Moving on to September's best and worst, again listed on the screen for your viewing pleasure, reading pleasure. But again, starting off with ones that died. Again, my Raphidodora tetrasperma was featured as worst in September, and I already said that had died because it was worse in August as well. And then I also featured a Sansevieria Samurai that was like dead in the video. It like fell apart while I was showing it. So yeah, that's dead. But the last worst of September that I showed was my Sansevieria Starfish, and luckily I still do have a pup from the mama plant. It's, you can see in water, very algae water, but still works. And honestly, like, I forget about this. I don't really keep up with it. I do think it has grown a bit in here, and it seems to be liking it in water. Like, I don't really have to do much to it, and it seems happy. So I hope one day I can again have a beautiful Sansevieria starfish, but for right now I am happy to have this one. Now moving on to the best of September, which funnily enough, a lot of these are now what I would consider worsts. But starting off with my Monstera Adansonii. This is what it looks like now. I think I'm gonna compost this plant. I was trying to give it away for free, but it just, you can see, like I've shown you because I haven't posted a video in months, but it just takes so much effort to take pictures of the plant, list the plant, and then talk to people about getting the plant, because people suck sometimes and like they ghost you when they say they want the plant and then they disappear. You make plans for them to get the plant and then they're like, oh, never mind, I don't want it. But I'm not going to tell you I don't want it. I'm just not going to respond or answer. So yeah, people are the main reason why I'm going to blame them. This has looked like this, so I've been neglecting it. And it's so funny because when it was featured as a best in September, I had talked about like cutting it back and how it grew. I had to cut it back again because this plant in me, I don't know. Again, like a love-hate relationship. I cut it back, it grows. And then it starts to do not well. So then I cut it back, and then it grows. But then it starts not to do well. I don't know. It does have new growth I'm seeing, so I'm still going to probably try to give it away. Like, clean it up a little bit and then give it away. For free, of course. Nobody would want to pay money for that. Next, best of September also is so pitiful looking right now. It's like, I want to be careful with it. Oh no, I spilled water. But that is my Hoya carnosa. I purchased this locally in September of last year, and it got infested with mealybugs. In fact, I think this plant was like part of the reason why my mealybugs spread, because I let the mealybugs get too carried away on this plant. And then if you go watch that video of me showcasing how it looked when I first got it, it had so many beautiful tendrils. And I think just the mealybugs were just like, oh, tendrils. And then went along the tendrils and then spread onto my other plants, because those tendrils, if you know Hoyas, just love to climb on anything and stick to anything. So, oh crap. Did you just see water pour out of that? I'm not sure if I held it up far enough, but water just spilled on me and the floor. Yeah, this is it. Still has mealies. I won't show them to you because they're gross. But, and I actually just cut this back like yesterday. It had a whole bunch of like dying leaves and stems on it, but I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I was so excited when I first got it. It was so beautiful, but then this plant and just so many of my other plants got mealies, and mealies are really not the worst to take care of, but it is when you have a lot of plants. You have to treat a lot of plants, and then you have to upkeep the treatment because it's not a one and done situation. You have to keep on treating them weeks after weeks, and I just didn't have that in me, so that's how that plant looks now. Next up is another plant that was the worst of, was the best of September, but now for me it's just kind of like, and that is my Raphidora decursiva. I was watering this yesterday because you can very much tell when it needs water. It looks so sad. And I knocked off one of the leaves because I'm still doing that. I'm just knocking off growth, knocking off leaves right and left. Maybe that's also why I was a little discouraged to take care of my plants, because I just kept ruining them. Anyway, yeah, it doesn't have as many leaves anymore. It's still, like, the leaves that it does have are still pretty impressive. Like, this one looks really nice. This one looks nice. But this is what it does. Like, it'll push out leaves, but then, like, one will die off for me. So this is, I know this is going to die off. It's so cool looking. I'm sad. Like, look at all those fenestrations, or whatever they're called. I don't know if those are exactly fenestrations. Because aren't fenestrations, like, when it's still connected like this and there's a hole? It's called something else when, like, it's not even connected. I can't remember. But it does have new growth right here, because again, that's what it does. It will grow for me. It continuously grows for me. It just also dies and grows at the same time. So it never gets bigger or more full for me. It just keeps on kind of looking bare like this. My last plant I did not want to drag over here because it is quite large, larger than the silver sword. So I think I'm gonna try to move us to where it lives I think that'll be better. Hold briefly. Last plant for today's video is my philodendron jungle boogie. It was featured a best of September. Funny, oh my gosh, I can't say that. Funnily, but now that just sounds weird. It was also featured as an April worst, which I think is funny. But look at it. It is still doing great. It even is, it has new growth right here, pushing it out, and it's just like a little circle right now, which I find very amusing. But here, let's go back more. It's just a beautiful plant. It's still in the same very low light situation, northern exposure. It's doing well, and it has just been a pretty consistent plant for me. It's made me very happy, and it's so cool. I don't even think, here, let me see if I can pull it out a little more, because this leaf is kind of a little ruined, but the rest of them look great. Ooh, I came over here so I wouldn't have to move it, but like I just have to show everybody how lovely this plant is. And here, I'll zoom up on this new growth here. It's so cute. Well, thank you for joining me today. I'm so happy to be back. I will try to upload a little bit more consistently than what I have been. Like, I won't release this video and take like a 6-month break again. Hopefully. No promises, but probably not. So thank you again so much for joining me on my recap of best and worst. The next one will be October, November, December, and hopefully that will actually come out in December when it's supposed to. So cross your fingers for that if you like these videos. Anyway, have a great rest of your day. See you next time. Cheers.